I have commandeered announcements because there is a lot of buzz around the campus. And I will be doing this probably for the next 2 or 3 months as we go through some changes, because I want you to hear it from the top, okay? We are going through what I consider, and I think what you will consider, some upgrades. We are going through a time in which we refine our organization, and a time in which you will see some changes to this building and to our church that I think are changes that everyone in this place will want. The first thing I ought to begin with is the shift in production. This is the hardest, probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my professional life. We met with our production team 2 weeks ago and essentially let them know that we will be ending our production with our current team July the 27th. And so these are my colleagues. These are people I care about, people I've worked with for years. Some have been here. I mean, Nancy has been here for 40 years. Others have been here 15, 20, 30 years. And the way that I arrived at this conclusion is I just began to look at the way others do this. And the most common way that people do television production is by hiring a production company. And so being in LA, I began to look at production companies nearby. The irony is I'm actually hiring a company that's not in LA. But yeah, we looked and saw that we could actually do this for much, much, much less. And we are not in a balanced budget right now. And since I've taken over as the chief in February, I've made that my first priority, that we have to get to a place where we are not spending more than what we're taking in. We have to do that. And so, anyway, it was a very difficult process. The positive, maybe silver lining of all of that is that my hope is that this production company may be willing to hire some of those who are in production. And I would just like to say thank you to all of them for all the work that they've done to help produce an awesome Hour of Power, and the tremendous work and dedication that they've given. Many who are hiding behind the glass there, but we can just say thanks to them. And so we are still 3 months away from that change, so it's not real, it's not imminent, it's not like on us right now. But we are beginning that process. In the process of outsourcing production, I also began to wrestle with the way the Hour of Power is made in general. And one is that I feel like we have this vision. I hope you know what it is. We are a local church with a global mission. And yet it feels like so often that the Hour of Power dictates the liturgy of the local church. And I keep really weighing that. Like, how do we break free where what we're doing here on Sunday morning isn't dictated by the production? And so what I think needs to happen is more of the Hour of Power needs to go out there. Now, I want everybody to repeat this after me. Bobby loves the choir.
Bobby loves the choir.
Bobby loves choral music.
Bobby loves choral music.
Bobby loves hymns.
Bobby loves hymns.
Okay? That is not going anywhere, right, Don? Right, choir? I love these guys. Classical music is not going anywhere. Mark Riley is not going anywhere. And those are still going to be parts of the program, okay? Here's what will change. It will no longer be a taped church service from beginning to end. And how that takes shape, I'll let you know. But what you will see on the Hour of Power is you will see choir performances on the Hour of Power. You will see sermons on the Hour of Power. You will see classical music performed on the Hour of Power. But it's not going to be one linear, sort of nonstop church service from beginning to end. So, for example, interviews. We probably won't do interviews here that often anymore. Most of the interviews we will probably do will be out there. So we interviewed comedians a couple weeks ago. We should go to them and go watch them do stand-up, and then in a smoke-filled room ask them what it's like to be a Christian in this kind of environment, you know? If I'm going to interview Albert Pujols, we shouldn't have him sitting here in a suit. I should put on my Angels jersey and my Angels cowboy hat and go have batting practice with him at Angels Stadium. So I think that there are ways, and then what I also want to see is more short films. I'll probably be introducing spiritual disciplines at the end of each hour of power. But these changes, and then we're also going to be shooting it in different cameras, so there's depth of field that will look more like film rather than where everything is in focus and broadcast. But I think everyone's going to like the Hour of Power because we're still sticking with the essentials of what makes the Hour of Power. It's still going to feel like the Hour of Power, but it's going to go out there more. We're going to go into the world. We're going to go into LA and see what's happening, and we're going to show that to everyone who's watching. And we're going to do it in a creative way. We're still in the process of figuring out how that's going to lay out. Don will be contributing to the way that looks. Mark will be contributing to the way that looks. We'll be bringing in new people to help us design that. Now, what that does is that frees us to focus as a local congregation a little bit more on liturgy here, so that we can do things like the Apostles' Creed and the Lord's Prayer and take communion once a month and not feel like necessarily the Hour of Power dictates everything that happens here. It still will have a weight, but I really want it to become a local church with a global mission. And so I am continuing to push at growing this local church. And we're going to be making some changes to the space here. We're going to be getting a new sound system, hopefully by the end of the summer, which is good. For everybody that went like this, just trust me, good things are coming. We're going to get a new screen, and we've ordered it. I was talking to the guy about this, and I said, we want to sing hymns in service, and we want to read prayers, and we need a big screen. He's like, how big? And I said, it needs to be big enough. You got to know my church. It needs to be big enough that my grandpa standing in the very, very back can read, "A mighty fortress is our God." Okay, so what will be happening is, and then the other thing is this cross. I do need to preach a sermon today. We're running out of time. So I'm getting excited, but I need to talk to Mike Volgevang about this. But my hope is that this cross is three-dimensional, but up against the wall, it becomes two-dimensional. I always liked how at the cathedral it was out, and you could kind of be around it. So what I'd like to do is see that cross come out, I don't know if it's possible, but kind of suspended, where it kind of goes like this, and it becomes a little bit more prominent, sort of like the hands of Christ blessing the church. I don't know if that makes sense. We will have a screen that will go across the middle here. It will be 6 feet high and 23 feet across. A big screen, all right? All the dudes are stoked, thumbs up. And yes, we may watch football in here from time to time. Okay. And then we will be undoing pretty much everything on this lower third, and we don't know what that looks like, but we will probably be taking some of these palm trees and things out here and be building something in here that will look nice, and maybe even do set design for every sermon series. So for example, with a sermon series on Romans, we may have, I don't know. I'm not going to be doing it, so. And then Don and I need to connect. We need to do something about this. Not the choir, but what's behind the choir. So it's just so bland behind you guys, I'll be honest. You get washed out with the white robes and everything. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I think you guys need some light, and we need something behind. And so Don and I will be, right, Don? We'll be talking about all of that. Okay, are we cool? One last thing. You guys know I'm lead pastor of two churches, not one. The other is Tree of Life across the street, which was a church plant out of the Crystal Cathedral. Okay, my hope is, and I've been talking to Tree of Life about this. I've mentioned it in my congregational meetings, but have not had the space to mention it here. My hope is to see Tree of Life move from there to this church in the 11 o'clock slot. And my hope is that I've been thinking that, but I've expedited that. I always thought that would be a year or so from now. I've been working with Jeff in children's ministry, and we wanted to build a tent out there that would be this awesome tent for children. It would be this incredible children's program. But it really went south, basically with the city and just being able to get that. So I want to put the children's ministry in the activity center, make it a full-blown, awesome children's program. But in order to do that, Tree of Life would need to come here. And my hope is that we would see over the next year more and more of Tree of Life, Shepherd's Grove working together. I even have a sort of not so secret goal that maybe, just maybe, I could be a pastor of one church and not two. And I think that bringing over a couple of hundred young people, it would be a good thing. And so just throwing that out there. Please do not hesitate to email me or call me or call John Townend, who is now sort of filling in John Charles' role. We really want to communicate with you guys. So I will keep coming up here during announcements. I will be giving you progress. You'll start to see building going on. That's a good thing, right? We need better sound. We need to screen. We need good worship on Sunday, right? We need to enjoy being together. So that's where we are. Okay. I'm just going to warn you, church is going to go long today. I haven't started my sermon. And we get to hear the Hour of Power ensemble.